for someone not to wreck me, to wreck me, to wreck me. I'm rose gold, I'm a gold rose, and what matters most is that I know I'm precious.
Rose gold, that was something that we picked up years ago. There's been a bunch of different versions of it.
I'm precious, even when I sleep alone.
Started performing that one live in like 2015 or 16. When we were with the band, we made a bunch of versions that felt right for like a live performance. We were always kind of like insecure about where it should go because it was a kind of intimate, powerful lyric. It was also a very short version of the song. I want to say we used it, like did a half song, and I don't even think I finished it at that point or knew where I wanted it to go.
I still lay on my throne.
Years went by, we did a bunch of different live versions of it, and then I was going through a rough time, and I hit you up and I was like, I think we should go back to this song. I remember it was just like magic. Like you created a really raw, stripped down version of it, and it felt more intimate, and it didn't feel like this big production. It felt like raw, and I think that helps the song come alive.
I'm special, I'm rose gold, I'm a gold rose, and my past don't mean since that I know I'm precious, I'm precious.
I think that says something to patience in songwriting.
Right.
If that didn't feel right at first, you can put it on the side and come back to it a little bit later.
Yeah, no, I feel like we needed that time for it to grow, to sit, to see how the live performances felt. And I think when we recorded it, now like when I listen to it, I'm like, this is what that song needed.
I still lay on my throne. Oh.
I appreciate the chemistry that you and I have together where it can be 3 years until we go, oh man, this is it.
Yeah,
and I feel good, and now we can release this because I think this is more authentic to what we actually wanted.
Totally. It's a friendship,
yeah.
So I think that helps it because there's no pressure on it with money or whatever. We just make it when it feels right, and I think that helps the songs become more organic and authentic.
I agree.
Even when I sleep
So growing up, how did your parents help you, become the musician that you are today?
Well, I think growing up, I think that just hearing them play music and listen to music and talk about music helped inspire me. They're both singers. My dad is a performer, songwriter, all of that, and has been recording and releasing music since like the 70s. And my mom sang a lot of opera and like cabaret growing up, and both of those combined, I think I started to realize that for me, music felt emotional. And so if I'm singing, I want to start singing and performing on the spot and not have any structure to it and just be able to freeform sing. So I was listening to a lot of Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday, and they were scatting, and that has still contributed to my music now. And when I got a little bit older, my parents were both suggesting that I go to performing arts high school, and they said, you're either going to be homeschooled or get into LVA. And I auditioned, and at first I didn't know what I wanted to audition. I didn't know if I should do dance, theater, or music, but singing felt confident for me, and dance didn't feel as confident, and theater didn't feel as confident. So I started singing and performing, and I think that I started to realize that singing was the most confident I felt at all.
Thank you. All right, we got something extra special for you right now. So we've been doing this work at the school, and there was this one girl that really, really stood out to us.
I know that going to performing arts school helped me have the confidence and also kind of learn how to take criticism.
100%. Yeah, you had to be like, zoned in and focused, because it was like no games were being played at LVA. Like you would get called out if you were not on it. And I think being around other people that are equally inspired by art helped us like elevate our thought process when it comes to art too, because if we weren't surrounded by everybody and we all weren't like stressed out about being perfect all the time, and in jazz and choir and dance and theater, I think that would have allowed us to kind of stay stagnant. But I think we all were like, oh, we got to get better, we have to prove to Miss Frankie, we have to prove to Bowen, whoever, and I think, I don't know, I just loved being surrounded by artists. I think LVA is the best school ever. I can't even imagine going to a non-performing arts high school, because it did help with the confidence, but it was also just like helpful internally, I think, to be surrounded by art, because we weren't focused on other stuff. Like obviously there was drama and stuff, but it felt like everybody was really focused on being the best musician that they can be, or artist that they can be. And I think if I hadn't gone here, I probably wouldn't be as confident of a songwriter. And I wouldn't have felt like I could do that. This is where I started singing by myself, you know, and solo singing. Like I didn't know what that felt like.
I know a lot of our dreams was to kind of move to LA and kind of make it real. See if there's any way that we can make it. And I know that was a part of your journey, part of your life. Can you kind of talk a little bit about what going to LA was like?
Going to LA was intense. It was very humbling, and I think, you know, in Vegas, like we said, it's a big city, but it's a small town feel, and you know everybody. And when you go to LA, it's like that, but like times 1,000. Like there are so many people that are trying to do the same thing as you. And when I was in LA, I was very young. I was a little naive, and I was just like, I'm going to move to LA and be a star. And I think that was a wake-up call, essentially. And when I came back to Vegas, it just felt like I had more of a purpose here, and it felt like my music could grow in a more organic manner. You know, my purpose in making music is to express myself, and that's point blank period what it is. And because it feels good, and because I'm passionate about it, and it drives me, and it makes me feel whole. And I think that sometimes there are some superficial relations to that can kind of take away and dim that light. And now I feel like right now in my life, I really feel good about where I am as a musician, and I think that transition wouldn't have happened if I didn't come back to Vegas.
Man, I was aching, that took a toll, it took all of me, every waking moment. My love was redefined, I'm messing up my mind, I can't just leave it behind. I don't know what I expected, but I kept holding on. It has taken some faith, but I'm gonna face it today, prove you wrong. You can't break me down, down, down. You can't break me down, down, down. Yeah, it was lonely. Sink or swim, look within, and I'll get to know me. I looked for me in you, now I'm left working through pages of your reviews from the very beginning, but I kept holding on. I know how to fixate, but I'm gonna face it today, prove you wrong. You can't break me down, down, down. You can't break me down, down,
I remember when we were first performing and we were performing at that veterinarian clinic.
Yeah, I was terrified. We were singing Bon Iver covers, Maroon 5 covers, and it was just the first time I had sang in front of people other than high school, and it was fun. I actually forgot about that show, so it's funny that you bring it up, but I think that was kind of a segue into us needing to perform consistently together and work together, and it's been like over 10 years now.
How important is self-respect and confidence with songwriting and performing?
Performing and songwriting are two of the most vulnerable things that you can do, in my opinion, especially with your voice. You know, you're kind of putting your insecurities out there, especially if you're songwriting about personal experiences. And I think it's really, really important to kind of turn on that strength and that confidence so that it doesn't overwhelm you, and you can really let go and lose yourself in the music.
Me personally, and I feel like you might agree, that when you're able to be true to yourself, write a true song, and someone's able to come up to you after a show and says, hey, like this reached me on an emotional level, and I want to let you know how this made me feel. I mean, how do you react to something like that?
I think somebody taking the time out of their day to express to you that like they resonate with something that you created, to me is always going to mean more, you know, because you don't have to say that to somebody. And I know when I compliment somebody or feel something or am moved by music and I say it, like that means a lot, and I won't just go out of my way. So that's always going to mean more at the end of the day. Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to The Blend. She battled it out at Brooklyn Bowl with other great bands, but Brittany rose above the competition and won a highly coveted spot at the Life is Beautiful show happening right here in Las Vegas.
Oh, we've been waiting all week to say that.
That's
Brittany
awesome.
joins
Yes.
us now with the special performance. Also here is Craig Nyman, head of music and live performance at Life is Beautiful.
Absolutely, yeah. Brittany won Battle of the Bands this year, and something we've done since the inception of the festival is we've always had a commitment to local music, and each year we've done something different, and this year we changed it up to have a Battle of the Bands, did it March Madness bracket style.
Oh, wow.
We started with 16 bands, and they kind of filtered down to 8, and then we took the 4 to the finals, and Brittany emerged victorious.
What is it like as a songwriter for you to be honest and open, to put that out there for not only who you're writing with, like someone like me, but for it to ultimately end up going to the world?
I've always written from a personal place. I've never really known how to write from another person's point of view, I think, because it's such an emotional experience for me to even like write. So I think like naturally it's always about what I'm going through in that time, and it's always very, very personal to me. I always wanted an outlet, and I feel like talking to people was a great outlet, but I also am not the best at not like trying to pry other people's emotions out of them. That's where my focal point was. So when I started to write music, it felt like I was talking to somebody and that they were listening, but like not talking back, but I felt heard. And I think that felt so good, and it felt like a cathartic experience, but it was also so important for me to even like get through days. And I think when I started experiencing like my first loves or like my first trauma, like it was so important for me to be able to let that out. And that's all I kind of was seeing from my parents growing up is, you know, just both of them being able to express themselves as songwriters too, or my dad a lot of the time as well. It is vulnerable and scary to just be that open, but it doesn't really, like whenever I release something, it doesn't really like faze me, because it's if I feel like I said it correctly, then I feel like it can touch somebody or move somebody else, or somebody can relate to it, and that to me means more than me exposing my emotions and feelings.
I tried to wear color, then changed into black. Went out to a club, they hate on my friends instead. Put on makeup, was told it's too much. I'm tired and I wanna drink and be touched. Some days are better than others. Some days I look at me, wonder. Sit in distress, call me a mess, then compare myself and fall under. And I faded, my friend, worse than a crooked tale of two ends. All I see is his eyes closed when I took off my clothes. If I looked like her, would I be treated right? Would you look past it easy on the eyes? And I wish that I could look in the mirror, wish that I could see myself clearer, wish that I didn't spend every day wishing that I looked like someone else. You don't know what it's like to be me, don't know what I've heard or I've seen, and you don't know the way it looks back at me. Back at me. Back at me. Whoa, 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 back at me. Back at me. Back at me. Oh,
Now that you've moved on to teaching, singing, and songwriting, what are some of the big lessons that you've been able to share with your students?
I really like to relate to them in a way where I talk about my imperfections as a musician, as a songwriter. It is important to express themselves, especially at a time like this, like during COVID, all these kids were trapped at home and going through a lot of internal struggles. So I just wanted them to feel as good as possible every time they had my lesson. And I think just reminding them that this is a form of expression, a form of creativity, and not something mechanical that needs to be perfect like a lot of other things that are in their life.
You know, comparatively to yourself now and to when you first started, are you still as hungry as you were before?
Yes, I'm always like hypercritical on myself as a musician in general. I think just because I'm inspired by so many fantastic musicians and all of these, you know, artists that my friends and I are sending each other that are coming out with new music that's complex and out musically, it just constantly inspires me, and that makes me even more critical on myself. So I don't think that there would be a time where I wasn't, but I'm learning to balance that with confidence as well.
You know, together we've been through a lot of frustration, a lot of different members. After all these years, what's keeping you going?
I think just the feeling of release, like the feeling of performing a show and feeling like all of that energy that I had, that built up pent aggression or emotion, like was let out, and being able to listen back to a record, like records live forever. So that to me is really special because I can always go back to that time and place. And you and I have done a lot of growth, like internally and externally and as musicians, and I think it really rewards both of us to continue this, and I don't know how it would feel. I don't know if I would feel fulfilled in general if we weren't doing it. It just feels good. I almost feel like I'm addicted to the way it feels to like release energy. And from a young age, when I knew what it felt like to release through my voice, it helped me be a more calm person. And I think that that's continued, and it just feels good. And I don't really feel, I'm not the most confident person. I'm very hypercritical of myself. So when I'm able to write a song and complete it, it's like the only time I really feel confident. Or if I'm able to perform and it feels like a great performance and the audience loved it, those are the two only times I really, really feel confident in myself. And I think that it's fuel for me because it shows that something I said touched somebody or moved somebody, and that continues me to want to write another song and not be overcritical and not release it because I'm worried about social media or whatever. It literally is the reason that I keep going.
the hell out of me. I wanna live in a time where crying asleep is only in a dream, only in a dream. What if it all ends up even better than my dreams? My dreams, not forever. I'm just getting closer to me. Life of the party, till the party took the life out of me. But I need to remember the days that I tucked away, dwelling on my last mistake. Can't forget those nights that changed my life. Now I believe that I can live in a time where crying asleep is only in a dream, only in a dream. What if it all ends up even better than my dreams? My dreams.